When we think of depression, oftentimes we think of laying in bed all day with the curtains drawn, not being able to get out of the house and engage anybody socially, and just have an overall hopeless feeling in life. But what if I told you that there's a different kind of depression that many first responders struggle with that we can be totally unaware of, and it can spiral out of control if we don't do something about it? Let's talk about it.
That makes sense.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time dropping by, I want to introduce myself. My name is Aaron Smith, retired police officer, first responder wellness coach, and Amen University licensed brain health coach. So today I want to talk about a type of depression that often slips past us as first responders because, well, we completely ignore it. We don't think that it's happening to us. And if it goes unchecked, can cause us a lot of problems down the line. Once again, when we think of depression, we think of just can't move, can't get out of bed, everything is worthless, life is hopeless. But there's another type of depression that many first responders struggle with, and it's called high functioning depression. And when I found this out and looked into it myself and was diagnosed with it, it opened up my eyes and made a world of difference. So let's talk about what high functioning depression can look like, especially in first responders. First thing is that when you are working, you cannot celebrate small wins and victories, promotions, achievements, awards, positive write-ups, because you're so busy focusing on the next thing that you have no time to stop and emotionally connect with what it feels like to celebrate. You know, taking that attaboy moment or allowing yourself to feel what it's like to be commended for something. You totally skip those emotions, or you're so high functioning that you're already on to the next thing, and quite frankly, it's no big deal. So if you have trouble celebrating small wins and emotionally feeling that with yourself and with your teammates, that could be a symptom of high functioning depression. Second thing, and this was one that really hit home with me, I did this constantly as a police officer, and that was I had a lot of social connections, but I had very few emotional connections. And what I mean by that was I could go to work and work with lots of different groups. I loved hanging out with the patrol officers in lineup. I loved going up to the detective bureau and being with my crew and working together with them. But getting off work and off duty, I struggled to make emotional connections with my family at times, with other friends outside of law enforcement work. And really it was that just being around my culture and being socially accepted and running with the crew allowed me to ignore what was really going on and have deep connections with many other people. Another thing that we will find ourselves doing is that we will have a socially accepted addiction.
What's the matter with you?
What in the world is that? Glad you asked. When we think of addiction, oftentimes we think of a drug addiction, an alcohol addiction, maybe a pornography addiction, a prescription medication addiction. But what if I told you that as high functioning depression, you can have an addiction that is considered socially acceptable? Let me explain. Maybe you are a gym rat and your entire identity outside of work is going to the gym, spending time at the gym, seeing how hard you can hammer it each and every day when going to the gym. It's ingrained in your culture. Now, we think that going to the gym is good for us, and it is, but when it becomes an identity and a driven culture, it can be an addiction because, well, you're not an alcoholic and you're not a drug addict, but you're pouring yourself constantly into going 100 miles an hour at the gym, and it's not allowing you to slow down and do something relaxing and connecting with yourself.
You're messing everything up.
Another social addiction that we see often in the first responder community is overtime, working constantly. You would rather be at work than at home because, quite frankly, there's no excitement at home. You might have to slow it down and reset, be with your loved ones, and you're really afraid to make that social connection, or not social connection, you're really afraid to make that deep, meaningful connection with your loved ones or with friends outside of work. So we will drive ourselves into a socially accepted addiction. And another thing that we see oftentimes with high functioning depression is that we really have no relaxing, chill out hobbies. I mean hobbies where you just sit, you connect with yourself, you're too busy, it's a waste of time for you You would rather be at the gym, you would rather be at work, because these relaxing hobbies feel like a waste of time. You're so used to driving and going and being at work, at the gym. You're so used to being fully involved in something that hobbies that are relaxing and allow you to chill out and spend time with yourself can seem like a waste of time.
Some people want to go to work.
So you'll find hobbies such as just constantly going to the gym, just constantly doing something work related, or maybe work, once again, is your hobby. Because quite frankly, people with high functioning depression will just bury themselves into work. This was exactly what I did many times. I could not sit still in a tree stand to go hunting. I would get invited to go golfing with friends, and it just wasn't relaxing to me because I had to be on the go. My mind was somewhere else, at home, on tasks that had to be done, on things that needed to get accomplished at work. And so my mind never allowed me to just sit and relax and be present with hobbies that were chilling out. I remember specifically, I love going up to northern Michigan. That's my spot. You're up on the water, the air is cleaner. And so I would take a couple vacations there a year. And I remember I could go down, sit on the water, watch the waves, and within a couple of minutes, I'm like, let's go on to the next thing. Let's go walk around. Let's move. Let's do something. Because it was so hard for me to just sit still, to be present, and to let time kind of go by.
What's the matter with you?
How am I feeling? How am I getting along? How are things inside my body? Am I still wound up from work? And I just could never escape that because I always felt like this is cool, the water, this is relaxing. Take a few breaths and then it's like, let's get up and let's go do something and let's move. So just because you're not laying around the house and you can't move and you don't want to go out in public doesn't mean that you're not suffering from some depression. So if any of these things resonated with you, you could very well have high functioning depression. Now, are there ways to overcome that? Well, absolutely, of course. You can check in with a therapist. You can get into counseling, but you need to talk to somebody about it. You can do some things like being very intentional of just sitting still, of checking in with your mind and your body. I typically will take 5 minutes, 10 minutes and say, all right, no phone, no television, no other distractions. Let's just sit and be present and see mentally, how am I feeling? Do I feel like I need to be doing something? Physically, am I still jacked up in fight or flight? What's my heart rate? What's my breathing rate? What are some of the things going on with my physical body? And intentionally start winding yourself down. Make sure that you are constantly checking in. How am I feeling? There's always going to be something that needs to be done. There's always tasks ahead of you. And if we don't take that time to really check in and slow ourselves down and make some connections with people, we could end up really burning out, which can turn into some anger issues, can turn into some really high anxiety issues where you're constantly physically wired and so on and so forth. So really be intentional about some of these things. Again, check in with your body, check in with your mind, be present with yourself, call a friend that you haven't spoken to in a while. Set up a date with your spouse. Maybe not to go out in public if you're high functioning and you're always on the alert, but to go and do something relaxing. But if you're not intentional with it, we think that this is normal and we can never unwind. So if this resonates with you, I'd appreciate it if you drop a comment below. Let us know, hey, yeah, I find myself doing this and this and this, and I can't seem to unwind. I always have to be on the go. I always have to have something to do. If this resonates with you, I'd greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to this channel. We'll get more information out there to you.
I love it.
Give us a like, thumbs up button, and until then, we'll see you at the next one.